Yeah, we was just wondering what it was like back there in the younger days in Puryear when you was running around.
Oh, I didn't run around too much. I was gone, in Ohio where my daddy lived.
Yeah.
I went to school up there for a while.
Oh, yeah?
But that's where I was. I went to grade school up there for a while, and I came back. And I moved back here.
Going out to Buchanan?
No, right here by Puryear.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, Founder Hill Road.
Yeah, we lived there the second time. First time we lived by the house up on the hill. What was it? His wife. I worked. When I was younger, I worked up there at the house. Mowed the yard. Big old yard.
Going out to Founder Hill?
No, I was going out for Buchanan.
Oh. It wasn't the banker, was it? Mr. Terry, was it?
No.
I'm Rex Gore. I'm the oldest of 3 kids from Button, Novella Gore. I was born in 1936, about 10 miles west of Puryear, and I've lived all over the country, and I always come back to Puryear. There's a lot of memories about growing up, but most of them I forgot. But we lived in 3 houses here on the highway. He built the first house in '45, and then about 4 or 5 years later, he built a brick house next door. And then in 1955, he built this house here. And in the meantime, I joined the Army, and when I worked at Paris for 10 or 15 years, we moved to Oklahoma and El Paso, and I worked out of Memphis some, and I always come back to Puryear. Anyway, what I remember about growing up is you couldn't have a dog when we moved to Puryear. If it didn't get run over on the highway, well, the sheriff would shoot it, running loose. I had my grandfather's was Isaac Gore, had 19 kids. My other great-grandfather had 8 kids. And he was a teacher and a preacher and a carpenter and a drunk. And he helped founded the Founder Hill Church. They built it, and he got into it with some of the members, and they said he rode around the church on a horse and shot all the windows out. After he sobered up, he come back and put the windows back in the church. And at one time, here on the highway that we lived in through the years, West Kentucky Stage was the bus that run through here twice a day. It delivered the papers at 5 o'clock in the evening that I'm going to deliver on the weekdays. Had a passenger train and a freight train. Had a depot and so forth. They later held elections in the depot, and then they tore it down. They had a swimming hole out south of Puryear. We call the Blue Lake Bar. I couldn't swim, but I learned to swim there. Some of the older kids kicked me off of a raft, and I had to swim. Anyway, we had a tent show that come in the summer. It was a big attraction, and it was they located it up here by the sycamore tree, which was a landmark in Puryear that some of the locals come to town on Saturday and they park under the sycamore tree. And
where is that at? Where's that?
That's in front of the City Hall. Sycamore tree was a big attraction on Saturday evening. There's a certain bunch that congregated there nearly every week. The businesses in Puryear was, besides the lumber house and Wynn's Garage, next door was the sweet shop and the barber shop and Uncle Pete Parks grocery. Uncle Pete had only non-perishable stuff. He didn't canned goods and potatoes and stuff like sugar. I remember my dad saying that his grocery bill when they first got married was $185 for a year. They carried their grocery bill for a year. Anyway, okay, Uncle Pete was on the corner in Mason Dobbins across the street. And then Adams Dry Good next door to that. Moorhead's Grocery and the drugstore. And then the bank. And on the corner was a post office. There were, across the street was Clay's C.D. Pascal Potato House. And across the railroad was Rhodey Adkins. Matt Latham had a store next to hers, Mary Jemerson. And behind that, on the street, was the ice house. They had blocked ice that they delivered every few days or something. And then behind that was Luther Adkins Livestock. He was a trader, a drunk and a trader. Edmund Littleton was behind that on the 641. He had a barn. I witnessed him killing a goat one time to eat. And he hung it on the clothesline and drove an ice pick in his head to kill it. He was a little weird. We had the Tom's service station, the cafe. You could get a hamburger for 20 cents. The Gallimores live next door, Darcy and Darren. And Mr. Jim was testifying that his neighbor, the Gallimores, they farmed and they owned all of this stuff, and they had this guy had two tractors. And they asked him, said, well, Mr. Jim said, how in the world can he use two tractors? He says, by gar, when one of them breaks down, he could go get the other one.
My name is Scarlett Gore, and I'm married to Rex Gore. We've been married in May. We'll be married for 68 years. And I came to Puryear, and I've loved it ever since. In fact, I always wear my badge that says I love Puryear on Puryear Day that a lady named Miss Schuyler Pascal, Harvey Pascal's wife, gave me years ago. And I love this town, always have. I think, as far as I know, I'm the first woman, only woman, that's ever served as mayor of Puryear. I served as alderman, and I served as vice mayor, and under Mr. Ralph Gallimore. And then when he passed away, I was the mayor. And then I decided not to run anymore for that. And then I went back, so they called me and wanted to know if I'd come back and serve as alderman again. So I was involved for several years with the city government. I'm proud of our little town. It's a good community, good place to raise our children. We had a good school system. The best thing of living in Puryear now, I think, is the closeness that everybody has, and we know each other. If you look back, most everybody here that was raised in Puryear, some way they're kin to each other. So you don't want to talk about anybody, because sooner or later you're going to find out that everybody's kin to everybody else. And
you moved here when you got married?
And this is where his parents and his mother, Novella, was one of the, as you can ask anyone that lived in Puryear, was one of the sweetest women that ever was. I never heard her talk or say a bad word about anybody. And anybody that came, she would welcome to have a meal with them or whatever. She was, and so good to me. She treated me like a daughter, and I admire her for that. So when his parents died, well, we got the house, and this is where we've lived, and I've just, felt at home here all the time.
My dad, there's a lot of story to be told about him, but the most of it I know about, I really wouldn't want to repeat. But I would make a couple statements about it. He broke his leg 3 or 4 times. He had a lot of car wrecks. He nearly killed me. And when he was a kid, his daddy took him fishing behind the house in the pond, and he was trying to show him how to get the job done, and my dad jerked the hook back and it caught the old man in the lip. And they had a big controversy about that. Another time in his going around the country, they done a lot of, they rode the train a whole lot. Not the passenger train, the freight train. And he said he nearly froze to death one spring going to Detroit. And when he got off the train, he couldn't walk. When it finally stopped. Another occasion, they was going in a car. They had an old A model. There was 2 or 3 bunches of boys that they run around with, the Basil boys and the Umphreys boys. Anyway, they was going to Detroit, and the old car they were in was getting real sick. It just about to quit. And they pulled into some little town up in Indiana, and they circled the square a couple times. They found a car just like the one they had, and they pulled in beside of it, and they got out of theirs and went around and walked around the block and come back and got in the other car and went to Detroit. He said it was really a good car.
Oh, that ought to go over good.
There's a lot of stories to be told about him, but
no.
We won't get into that.
No, we won't get.
Okay, I'm Pat Hunt McElroy, and I have lived in Puryear since I was like 2 or 3 years old. I remember when I was a little girl, Puryear was a real thriving community. We had 3 or 4 grocery stores. We had a bank, a post office, a barber shop. I think there was a laundromat at one time.
It was.
Along the street now where the post office is now. Years ago, the post office was at the end of the street where David Varner had bought the bank building. The post office was first, and then there was the bank, and then there was a drugstore.
Right.
And then in the middle was the big fair store. I think that's what it was called. And you could buy everything there, shoes, dresses, material, things for the house. It was just a little hodgepodge of everything, but it was a rather big store. And then there was Mr. Dobbins' grocery. And on down the street was where the barber shop and the laundromat were. And at the far end down there, the big building, Mr. Harvey Pascal had a garage and sold gas and fixed cars, and he was there. And across the street, across the railroad track on the other side, the end where is the community center now, was a little grocery store, and the lady that ran it was a Ms. Jimerson. And then I really don't remember what was in the middle, but then at the other end of that street was a little grocery, and it was Miss Rhodey Atkins's. And Miss Rhodey was in a wheelchair. She was very old. When I was a child, I remember I thought she was 100, but she probably was 40. And now that I'm nearly old, and I'm old, but she was in a wheelchair. And at the back, she had a little table, and people would go in and eat cheese and crackers or bologna and crackers and like that kind of thing at her store. And the railroad, the train came through every day, I think. And when we were kids, if we could go to the drugstore, if we had a dime, we could get a Coke and a candy bar for both for a dime. And I don't remember being any tax. I don't remember anything about tax. And Mr. Hart was the drugstore man, and he was a pharmacist. And when any of the kids in the community got sick, the mothers would go say, what do we need to give them? And he would find something on the shelf to send home that would make us get better. So probably very few of us went to the doctor when we were little. And the lady that worked with him was Miss Birdie Lassiter. She manned the soda fountain there. And one of the favorite things I remember from that was we could get a cherry Coke. So cherry Cokes have been around a long time. People, they may have thought they were new later, but they were around a long time. And then there was the school, and back then we just pretty much knew everybody. There was no kindergarten, but we knew it from first grade through the 12th. You just about knew everybody. We all rode the buses together, and it seemed to me like everybody got along real well. There wasn't any rich kids. None of us had much more than or much less than the next people did. So it was a very pleasant little community, little town. Everybody knew everybody. And I think everybody got along. I never heard of anybody not getting along. So it was a nice place to grow up. Except Miss Pearl Childers, who was the 4th grade teacher. Miss Pearl was married. But I think all of the other grade school teachers were single ladies. Back then we called them old maids, but I don't think that's a proper term anymore. But we had Miss Vera Pilla was the 1st grade teacher, and she was a little bitty lady. And the 2nd grade teacher was Miss Vernon something. I can't remember her full name. And then Miss Earl Wilson was our 3rd grade teacher, and she was a sister to Bun Wilson, who was quite famous from Puryear. And then the 4th grade was Miss Pearl Childers, and the 5th grade was Miss Allen Burton, and she lived up on the corner. The house is still there from the school, the one with the red roof now, the red house. She lived right there. And Miss Salmon was the 6th grade teacher, and she lived in a pretty white house behind the post office, and it burned several years ago, but that's where she lived. And then the 7th grade was Miss Ida Vinson, and she lived somewhere down near Hazel, I think. But it seemed like I don't remember any of them except Miss Pearl being married. Back then the ball games were big. Everybody went to the ball games. Everybody loved to see the ball games, standing room only. If you didn't get there really early, you had to stand up because the little gym wasn't very big, and it had 3 rows of bleachers, not 15 or 20. And we had that every year. We had a fall festival, and that was a really big event. And when we were juniors and seniors, we had a play. The juniors had a play, and the seniors had a play. And our English teacher, Miss Agua Freeman, was in charge of choosing the play and assigning the parts to whoever she thought would be good for them. And when I was a junior, the name of our play was Hillbilly Wedding. And when I was a senior, it was Grandma's Best Years, and I was Grandma. I do remember that, with powdered my hair up and made me gray-headed. And we did not have a prom, but we had a junior-senior banquet. And the juniors, we used our play money and the money we raised to pay for it. So when you were a senior, the juniors paid for it. So, and when we were seniors, we always had a senior trip then. My class went to New Orleans on a bus. That money we had raised, selling magazines and I don't know what all, but the senior play and selling magazines and whatever we could. Every class, when we had the fall festival, each class had a project that we did, and we got to keep the money for our class. Just that it was a good place to grow up, and it still is. I think it's still a good place to grow up, and I hope it will be for years. I hope my grandchildren will grow up in Puryear and be useful, productive human beings like their parents have. It's a good place to be.
Well, my name's Doug Taylor, and we've been in Puryear 60 years. I know I don't look like it, but really it has. It's been good to me. It's really looks so good, you know. But Puryear's been good to us. It's been good to us. We made a lot of friends here. Raised family here. I guess you'd call me and Beth the family. And we had a son, Jeff. Lost him here. He had a friend, Gary Pascal. And Gary knew where the stove and refrigerator was, and said he just kept coming. And he was a real good friend, and he sort of settled in there. And then we done a little bit of everything. We started, I know all y'all hadn't heard about that. We started Puryear Hay Company. Made a lot of hay. I don't know about money, we made a lot of hay. And then we got around this, that, and the other. And then I started Doug Taylor Auction Service in Puryear, Tennessee. And done real good. Peanut, he was right there with me when things was going. And it just got bigger and better and better and bigger. And then I got it to where I told Gary, I said, you're going to have to get out and get you a real job. And he started work for the city. I was the one pushed him out of the nest, but got him up there. And then Doug Taylor Auction Service has been good to us, been real good to us. We haven't gotten rich, but I guess we've done okay. We've done okay. Lived comfortable. And it was a good one. We started out, the other was there, we started out, we had a softball tournament here. And it was so big that some of the teams that had played in Johnson Park, some of them at Cottage Grove, and some of Puryear, they'd win and all the winners would be downtown Puryear up here. And then, but we had a real good bunch at work. And then we got to selling mops. And me and Joe Donald Underwood, he was a good line, me. And we went out to the hunter here, and we stopped at a house out here, and this house had those big elephant ears for the porch there, and we go up, knock on the door there, and this lady, she bought one, and Joe Donald was thanking her, and he turned around and fell right in the middle of them elephant ears. I said, Joe Donald, what you done? He said, I'm trying to get out of these elephants here. So we got some good stories on Joe, and I'm not making fun of him, but he was always there to help. And then he was mowing his yard over there one day, and the lady next door there, she was doing it, and Joe Donald was out there, and they looking, and he bent over to check on his lawnmower, and when he did, he'd had him a toupee on there, and when he did, that thing fell off and zipped out the other side there, and there was his bald head and his toupee gone. But me and Joe Donald went, and Gene Schrader and Butch Pascal went to Monk's Corner, South Carolina, over there when they had a big tornado or something come through. And so Joe Donald, every time you wanted to say, he was going to go. But we went. And then Gene and Butch, they took off for Joe and that, and Joe Donald rode with me in the motor home 2 days over there. And as we got over there, Joe Donald told him that he wasn't able to work, that he just went for going to build up the bread to go. And about that time, he turned around on a plate and hit Butch right in the back of the head this here, and there's the plastic cans, they fell, bang, 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 bang. Gene Schrader said, Joe Donald made it, didn't he? It's a lot of fun with this. That was a good trip. And we got over there, and we was out there working, and this woman said, whatever you do, don't go around front there. Said, that dog will eat you up. And Gene said, my goodness, Joe Donald's around there. We get around there, and they had this little dog tied to a tree about that big around that it rode down, and Joe Donald sat there on this tree petting this dog. He wasn't afraid of nobody. But this woman, husband, had gotten killed with a game warden over a dog. And she got asking us about Joe Donald and everybody, and I told her, I said, Joe Donald, he is single, and he's the one playing this trip. He is the one that got it together, playing this trip. And so anyway, she goes around there, and where the trees that fell off and puts ground and all that there. But anyway, Joe Donald was around there talking to her, and about that time, she backed up and stung him, and Joe Donald called her, both arms like that there, and I said, Joe Donald? Butch hollered, Joe, what are you doing? And he said, she tripped. And I said, ask the lady. She said, did you trip? She said, I think so, but she said, I think I'm just going up and trip again. And I said, it was time to come home then. But I'm not picking about Joe Donald. He was a good man. Joe Donald was a good man, never hurt anybody, and a good Christian man. And but he was always good for a good story, you know. And
My name is Beth Taylor. Doug and I have lived in Puryear for 60 years. We moved here in 1966. We bought up some property on Highway 140 East and built a house there. We raised our son there. And I taught school at Puryear for 20 years. And then I became the elementary supervisor. And then I became the principal of Puryear. And I was principal of Puryear until it closed in 2003. And I was the principal at Harrelson until I retired. And I was very blessed. I was very blessed to be the principal. I was very blessed to be the teacher at Puryear. We had a great school, great teachers, and it was just a real blessing. I feel like the Lord blessed me by allowing me to teach in Puryear and to live in Puryear. What would I like for people to know about Puryear? Well, Puryear is a loving community. It's a caring community. We take care of our own. And if anybody needs anything, if anybody's in need, Puryear residents step up to the plate and take care of their own. We also try to take part in community activities, Relay for Life, Helping Hand, any charities. We've had charities here in Puryear just for Puryear citizens and have raised a lot of money to help the people in Puryear. So Puryear is a great place to live. Doug bought all the buildings in Puryear except the bank a few years ago and renovated them and put windows and roof. The buildings were falling apart. So he bought the buildings and renovated them and opened antique stores here in Puryear, rented the buildings to antique store dealers, and had a little thriving community here. At one time, when we first moved here, there was grocery stores, gas stations, and also businesses downtown. I would love to see us get back into having our businesses back in Puryear. And we don't have to have a Walmart, but it would be nice to have some businesses that support our community. If you're interested in opening a little business, then let it be known. Let people know, and maybe we can pull together to find whatever we need in order for Puryear to thrive.
Okay, there was a great big potato house, sweet potato house, and it was on one side of it was on Sycamore, and the other side faced Front Street. It's about where that trailer is now, between where the bank was and where Jesse's putting in his farm. It was great big. It was like a round roof, and it had a big sign painted on the side. I cannot tell you what it said. Anyway, it was there forever. My great-grandmother lived where Jesse is building his greenhouse and farm. It was there, and I remember it, all my life, going to my great-grandmother's house. And one day it just fell in, and I sure hated it because I love that painting on the side. It was an old advertisement of some sort.
So the house that just burnt down was where it sat?
No, next to it. It was about, where the house is Jesse tore down.
Right.
And where the bank is.
Right.
Where that trailer is.
Oh, okay.
It's about where it was.
Gotcha.
About where it was.
Yeah.
And,
do you have pictures of it?
No, I have never seen a picture of it.
I wonder if the historical
I would love to have a picture of it.
Yeah.
I have some old labels and stuff.
Well, maybe somebody will see this and they will be able to...
if anybody has any old pictures of Puryear, I would like to copy them. I'll even come to your house to do it. You don't have to release your pictures, just let me copy them.
We found some can labels from the canning company that was here.
Yeah, I have some of those.
People might be interested to see the labels that you have.
is the bass drum cover for the band, and it says Puryear School Band.
Oh,
And it was in a
awesome.
dumpster. This is before they even closed the school.
Should frame it.
It's hanging in my garage.
Cool.
I shouldn't tell that, somebody will steal it.
It'll end up with the tennis shoes or the gym shoes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah, if
Yes.
anybody's brave enough to go up on the roof of Puryear School, I sure would like to know if my tennis shoes are up there.
All right. Thank you, dear.
Thank you.
I was wondering what you thought about farming back in the day as compared to now. Have you seen the farming diminish in Puryear or pretty much stay the same? Or
Oh, it is diminished. There are, if you look, there are very few farmers, but they farm a lot of acreage. We had 4 acres of tobacco, and that was a big crop of tobacco. And of course, we worked in that as a child. I can remember. I don't even remember starting to work in tobacco. I think the first thing we did was you had to hoe it, and when you set it, all those had to be done. And I remember, the first thing I remember is being able to hoe tobacco and not cut down the plants. Because if I cut one of them down, I took a licking for it. So that was taking the money out of your pocket. You couldn't afford that. And so we were farmers, and so that's what we did. We worked on a farm.
were there any businesses or factories that shaped the town's identity?
Well, there were businesses all along I guess it's Front Street. There were the empty now Dobbins Grocery and the Fair Store and Mr. Moorhead's Grocery and Drug Store and then the post office was down the very south end of that. On the other side, Mr. Pete Parks ran a store, and then there was the barber shop and the beauty shop. And then there was Wynn's Garage. It changed hands several times. But you know, that's what the town was. Across the street over there, on the corner where the community center is, was a Jimerson's grocery. A lady ran that grocery. And then just south of there, there was her name was it skips me, but anyway, there was another grocery down there, in Puryear Day, when you come to Puryear, you could go and get a good cheese and bologna sandwich over there. It didn't cost very much, so that's where we generally ate. Was Rhodey Adkins. That was the lady that ran the store down there. It was Adkins Grocery. Miss Rhodey weighed about 300 pounds.
Oh, well, she ate too many cheeseburgers.
Well, she didn't eat, I don't think. I didn't see her eat, but anyway, that's what we would get. Would be get a piece of cheese and a slice of bologna on crackers.
Mm-hmm. I've heard people talk about clay, like a clay mining or something in the area, and sweet potatoes. Is that something that you recall happening here?
We raised sweet potatoes nearly every year, and of course they had to be, you had to look after them just like you did anything else in the farm until they covered the vines covered the ground. We lived just a very short distance from Martin Clay Pit, and they, of course, in stripping it down, they had a lot of sand and so forth that were piled on dumps and so forth, and it was a sort of a problem downstream because it would wash down through there and it would stop things up, and we'd have to go down and clean it out and so forth. So, I can remember J.R. Hayes' company. They're the ones that stripped it off, got it off. And they hauled the clay to Cottage Grove. If you've been through Cottage Grove, as you go through going east, you have the clay sheds over to your left. They took it over there for processing. It was ball clay, and it was good for making dishes, and so forth, I understand.
Not so good for gardening.
No, it wouldn't be good for that. But I did work in that. I've been sometimes would watch those the tractors and things as they tried to get it cleaned off. But I never did work at that kind of work.
Which buildings or landmarks used to exist that people today might not know about?
Well, the main one, there's two, I think of right offhand. The main one is the depot. So there was a full depot. There was an office on the south end, and then there was an unloading dock on the north end. And I can remember the trains pulling over on the side track and unloading, and the merchants then there in town, they would take their cars and go over there and put them fill the trunk up and bring it over to the grocery store, and then they hide it and put it in storage, and that's sort of how they got theirs. And let's see, there were two, didn't there? I don't remember the other one offhand.
And where was that depot located exactly?
Depot was right at, well, there's a little metal building that sits out there that operates the switch track, the lights. And that was the south end, that would be the south end of it, and it was built from there plumb down to the north.
Okay. How do you think that the local economy has changed over the decades from the time you grew up to now?
Well, the big thing we had, tobacco was the actual crop. That was the cash crop. Almost everybody was a farmer and raised tobacco if it wasn't more than an acre, because that was the cash crop. Brought more money than anything else. And that and cotton, there was a lot of cotton that was grown then, but it's changed completely. I mean, you don't have that kind of enterprise. I mean, you have some, but they may farm 200 or 300 acres, and we were lucky if we owned 225 acres. We got, I don't know, I remember one year we planted 40 acres of corn, and Daddy said that's the most corn he'd ever planted in his life. And so we had something to sell. But, you know, it has changed. The economy of it has totally changed, especially Puryear, because you don't have really any businesses in town.
I heard of the tornadoes that Puryear has encountered, including some F3 tornadoes. In your lifetime, best you can recall, which is the worst you've seen? How did it impact Puryear? And how did you see Puryear come together as a community?
Well, you're right about being several of them, but I only remember one, and I remember one thing that happened. I had a water tank south of the city hall. It was the old one. It was small. It blew the top off.
Wow.
And the top of it stuck in the ground right out there, just a few feet in from it. And of course, the town didn't have to come. That was the only thing that happened. There was no houses tore up. There was nothing like that. Nothing. So they got I don't know when they got it back, because I remember I was in school when I noticed one day it was back on top, and then they'd fix it.
Did they lose all the water then?
I don't know what they did. I was a child. I didn't even think about the water being in there. They bet you probably had to drain it and refill it, because it probably had debris in it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I really don't.
During your lifetime, how have you seen America's involvement in war times impact the Puryear community?
Well, one of the ways it impacted it was young men had to go to the army, were drafted. There were several here that were in, and
which war was that?
It was Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the Korean War. I had a cousin that was a captain in the army, and he was transferred to Korea for, I don't know, 6 or 8 months, and he came home. But it didn't have a whole lot. World War II would have had a big impact, because they took all the men.
Mm-hmm.
And I was born in 1943, so it was right in the middle of the war. So I really don't remember anything about the Second World War, but I do remember about the Korean War. I remember talking about it, and I've known since then. I've known several people who actually spent time there, soldiers who actually spent time there. None of them lived in Puryear though.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's go to some fun questions.
All right.
All right. Who were the local characters that everyone knew in town?
Oh my goodness. One of the big characters was Joe Donald Underwood.
Can you say that again?
Joe Donald Underwood.
Okay.
Joe Donald, he had died since that time. He lived in the house right behind me. He had built that house. They moved in. We moved in Thanksgiving, and he moved in about Christmas.
What year was that?
That was 1970. Everything in the world happened to the poor man. I felt sorry for him. And we come home one day from school. The wife and I both thought we were school teachers. And when we come home from school, he come out and he was skinned from the top of his head even to his toes. And he had played tennis that day with William Atchison. And William had beaten him. And he was running, going to jump the net, and he caught his toe.
Oh.
He done his fault. And he was, again, he said, I just want you to know that I did my wife didn't do this.
Yeah.
So he was something else. We thought the world of him. Of course, I remember all the people who operated in the stores and so forth, like J.M. Dobbins. I remember Mr. Mason Dobbins, he was running that store. Mr. Herman Adams ran the fair store. Mr. Moorhead, I don't remember his first name, but he lived down there on the highway about the corner of Chestnut and 641. And his house burned, and I think he moved. And I don't know where he moved. I've lost track of him. But they might know him. Dan Hart was the druggist, and Rex Albritton was the postmaster at that time down there. And then they did some moving around. They moved the post office where it is now. That was Pete Parks's store. He probably sold a nickel's worth of candy a month. He didn't do a lot of business. And then there was a barber shop. Then there was the beauty shop, and then there was a sweet shop. Actually, the sweet shop came before the beauty shop, and then there was Williams Garage. And so that took care of the major businesses in town. And I don't think the boys and girls today, I don't think they know any of those people. They might have known some of their kids now. The Dobbins had a girl that was in my class. She died several years ago of bone cancer. Frida Kay was her name. I don't know whether, I really don't know, but you mentioned some of the names to them and they look at you sort of funny. They remember Dobbins because the store is still there and it still carries the same name with it. But all the rest of them are, changed. Well, Banksman robbed twice. I never did catch anybody. And I know the first time they really tried, the sheriff's department and of course the local Dale, Chief Dale, and they were all working on it, and all of it, they just run plumb out of clues. They never catch anybody. That seems sort of odd to me because on TV they catch them all the time,
Right.
And that was what we were used to.
Yeah.
We had 3 channels we could watch, and so till 11 o'clock at night, and then it went off. But that's the one thing that comes to mind. It seemed like that was of course it was funny to us kids, but it really wasn't.
Right.
Funny you robbing the bank, but I couldn't catch anybody.
So this happened twice, you say?
Yes.
Within close proximity of time, or?
Let's see. The first time it was maybe in the early 70s, and this last time was just a few years ago. I don't remember the years.
They never caught him either time?
Either time.
Good thing we don't have a bank anymore.
They won't rob the bank anymore down here.
Yeah.
Well, let's show you the school first.
The school?
Yeah. Because that's where all the kids for miles around, that's where they were. Probably within from Whitlock to the state line, that direction. I don't know how far east or west it went. But There was over 400 young people. in
The
that
school on College School Road.
Yeah, it was first grade through 12th grade. And when you came to know it, if you came before they consolidated, they had kindergarten or preschool through 8th grade. They moved the high school to Henry County High School.
Right. What was your favorite
The science lab, science room.
science lab, and why is that?
I was a chemistry major in college.
I thought you might say the gymnasium.
Well, that was the second thing
Second.
because we had PE up there. That's where we practiced our basketball and so forth. That would be the second. But I'd take you right to the science room first. In fact, it sort of gave me a walk down memory lane too, because some of the things you asked I hadn't really thought about in years. But it was a going town until they consolidated the schools. And once they moved to high school, it started going down.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Appreciate your time.
Very welcome.
I was born in Murray at the hospital.
Okay.
I was born about 5 miles at Mill Creek, behind the church there, in a house behind the church.
Okay.
And that was in 1937, September the 17th, 1937.
Okay.
And except being in Cadwell, Kentucky a little while, in Paris, we lived nearly our whole life here in Henry County.
Okay.
I remember the tent shows a little bit. They would come, this was way back in the 40s, and they would sometimes have elephants. And I hadn't seen an elephant, you know. It was an elephant in Porch, can you believe that? But anyway, this is one thing in my memory that comes. There's an old sycamore tree out there that was cut down, and Miss Myrtle Ray hated for that tree to be cut down. It'd been there a long time, and she was really instrumental in Puryear. She kept a lot of the records of Puryear, and she also kept a lot of records of our church, the Puryear Church, Puryear Methodist Church.
What was Miss Myrtle's last name?
Myrtle
Ray?
Dobbins Ray.
Oh, she was part of the Dobbins family. Okay.
She was a Dobbins, and then she married a Ray, Shorty Ray.
So was she part of the family that had the Dobbins grocery?
She worked there a lot. Her father was Mason Dobbins, and she worked in the grocery a lot.
And she was a descendant of the Littletons, you know.
Oh yes, she was a descendant of the Littletons.
Oh.
And Puryear was like to have been Littleton instead
Right.
of Puryear.
It would have been named Littleton, but there was already a Littleton, Tennessee.
That's it. All right. So you were saying that you were really excited about pumping gas at your brother's gas stations. Yes.
And we had a sawmill. Buck Gore had a sawmill at that time, and that was about 51, 52. And
Okay, you helped your brothers at the service stations.
oh yeah.
Then you
I'll go back to what it
y'all
was.
were tearing down buildings.
Yes, I worked right after I got out of school. I got a job in Paducah, Carbide. We were taking down a building there that somebody had wanted to take down, and they were from Puryear, and one of the guys, I done forgot their names, but Buck Gore was one of them, and another one was from Paris, and they we'd been up there, and I'd stay with my brother for a week, and we worked that summer right after my graduation, and then
Later, they had a service station. You know, you worked there.
Oh yes. Can you tell about that? I'm lost for words. Yes, I worked at the service station at Paducah, and that was my brother too. He had a service station in Paducah. So I've worked several places, but and then in 1956 I got a job at the bank. Was it 56 or 57?
I think it was 56.
What did you do at the bank?
I was bookkeeper for a long time, in a teller. I did supply, I kept the supplies, did the mail, had several jobs. They kept us busy.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
I worked there for a long time, and then after that,
After that, you retired, I guess. Yeah, well, you worked at a furniture store.
What's it going to be like the next years or whatever?
50 to 75 years.
How many?
50 to 75 years.
50 to 75 years. Hopefully, I know they've been promising a 4-lane there for a long time, but hopefully they'll get the 4-lane through there and get some buildings worked on. And this out there, I think there's been some repairs on some of the buildings. I still own the old drugstore, and but hopefully that the bypass will come through. The buildings will do good. Maybe add some more on down there and get some businesses in. And got a lot of promise, and hopefully it is. It's a good place to come to, and I guarantee you, if you'll just come here and buy you a place and stay long enough to wear out your shoes, you'll love it for the rest of your life. You know, you'll love it for the rest of your life. And there's good neighbors here, good neighbors. And just they'll wave at you going down the street and all this, that, and the other. But I think Puryear will be okay. I really do. There's a lot of good kids here, and they'll be parents, and all of a sudden we got the good school up there now. And, you know, it was a lot of, whenever they were done away with the old Puryear school, I know I was on the school board then. A lot of folks didn't like me over that. Didn't like me, but we got a nice school up there now. And have you seen our new school up there? Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. But I think with the school and the churches and everything, that some work on the buildings, and there's a lot of hope and a lot of chances here. And like I say, that when the bypass gets through, I don't know who's it going to be, but get that done and get the road done behind the buildings there at Puryear. They ain't no telling when that'll be. That ought to work. But I think there's a lot of opportunity here. I really do.
I don't know what Puryear will be like in the next 50 or 75 years. I would like to think it would come back to some of what we might call the glory days, when there was a lot going on.
Mm-hmm.
But
I'd like for our community to grow, and I think we will with this new highway coming through. And I want us to maybe have more industry here, more stores that we have, and for everybody just to work together and try to make it a community that we're all proud of. I'm proud of Puryear, and I just want us to all feel that pride in our town. And I think if we do, it will grow and it will prosper. So much for my feelings for Puryear, but I can't say enough. I'm proud to be here.
What do I think Puryear will be like in the next 50 to 75 years? It's kind of hard to say. I think Puryear will grow. The 4 lanes coming through, I think that's going to inspire some growth. I would like to see a town hall and a town square with stores and facilities around the town square. I'd like to see tiny home villages around Puryear. Housing is a very difficult thing for a lot of people, and tiny homes could make all the difference in the world in our citizens being able to have homes, and to help bring young people here who can't afford a house but could afford a tiny home. I think we will have robotic driverless cars. We may even have flying cars in the next 50 to 75 years. So I'm hoping Puryear will grow. We at one time had a doctor that was planning to come to Puryear, and that kind of fell apart. But maybe we can get a medical clinic here, a small medical clinic, just for people so they don't have to drive to Paris or Murray. That's something I'd like to see happen in the next 50 to 75 years. I would like for the young people in Puryear and Henry County to know that they're welcome in Puryear, that the people here are friendly, they're caring, and they support their community. If you would like to be a part of a caring community, we would love for you to be a part of Puryear.